Hello. It's been a little while since I made a video of any kind. The reason for that is I don't like the sound of my voice on recording. The first video I made, obviously, I needed to use it because otherwise, with captions, no one was gonna read that for 35 minutes. But this time, or the subsequent videos, I decided I could afford the luxury, and it's not really anything wrong with my voice, it's just I had to do a lot of editing. I didn't like hearing it on the recording, because no one likes hearing their own voices in recordings, it's a pretty universal thing. And I was selfish, I made everyone read a bunch of things, just so I didn't have to listen to my own voice for an hour while I edited the video. But I'm back, and now you can hear my beautiful melodious voice again. I'm going to show you drawings where I do the art. Now this is in plastic index card box full of my drawings. Another index card box. This black book's got about 30 pages used. Another little sheaf of index cards. And I have this mini index cards box, which I did for some smaller thumbnail drawings. I'm going to go through as many of them as I can and just give a little bit of talking about the drawings, what they're of, that sort of thing. Just some basic description. The other videos I put together were not, oops, see, more escaping already. The other videos I put together for the drawings, they were okay, but I wasn't satisfied with them really. Felt like I just had to type stuff out and leave it on the screen for 30 seconds, music playing in the background. I wrote the music, actually. Brag a bit there. I think it's pretty good. I'm prouder of the music than I am of the drawings. But I'm hoping this will be enjoyable for you. If you don't want to watch, you can just listen. You can just switch over to the video every few seconds, see what the picture's of, and then listen to me yap about it. And if you're a fan of ASMR videos, those sort of quiet, touchy, papery sound videos you sometimes hear, I have no idea if this will be any good for that. That's not what it's intended to be, just a possible secondary purpose. So, I've done about, as you can see, I've done this, as you can see the full extent of I've done about, here we go. These are all 3x5 index cards. Some of them are inked, some of them are still pencil. I've switched over to ink almost exclusively, in fact completely exclusively now, because I just consider it for my purposes exclusive. I used to draw, and I would scan in my drawings, and the result was a lot of editing work, even with contrast turned up. So the process is, I'll draw something like this, okay? And I want to make it clear up front that I'm not a fantastic artist, of course, but it's adequate for my needs, I think. I'm entirely a learned artist, not a talent one, if you understand what I'm saying. These are just different drawings that I've done. Some of them are just really, really horrible. I've done like second drafts of them, but they were necessary to either solidify a concept I had in my head or something else. And so, basically what I do is I just draw these. I use a 0.5, I don't actually have one. It's a 0.5 millimeter pencil. I actually have one here. It's pretty funny. Keep them in a gray pencil case, and I draw with them, and then what I'll do now is that I'll ink them afterwards with a very thin point felt pen. Has to be the right kind of pen. They're like $8 each. They're really meant for real artists, but you know, they'll sell them to anyone. And what I'll do after that is I'll scan them in, and the great thing about a pen is it's one shade. It's not like a pencil where the pressure really matters. And I'll scan it in, and I'll go into paint.net, wonderful program. If you don't know what it is, download it. If you have anything to do with image editing, even if you don't, it takes up like 30 megabytes at the most on your computer, and someday you'll need to touch up a photo and you don't want to use something else. It's like a free version of Photoshop. But what I do is, and this is just a very basic function it has, but I can turn up the contrast to make it all black and white. So Microsoft Paint will color it in. And what I do is I'll go touch up lines, anything that's not a complete line, then I'll color it, use the color picker to get some nice colors in there, and then I'll end up with something like what you see on my blog or in the videos I occasionally post. I haven't posted one in a while. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through some of them and explain them as best as I can. I give a little, maybe, I don't know, 10-second blurb about each one, maybe longer if I feel like it. I doubt I'm going to get through all these hundreds of drawings. There's no way. But I'm going to start with my little book. So this is going to assume some knowledge of my little world I've created. So if you don't understand what I'm talking about, that's fine, because I'm probably the only person in the world who does. If you're that dedicated of a fan to a little guy who puts stuff on Tumblr and whatever, I appreciate that, but I think you might be alone in the world in that regard. So, enough yammering. I've used up 7 minutes now. It's a horrible amount. You probably want something actually out of this video. So I'm going to start by showing you the dervish. I did this drawing about last December, 2 Decembers ago. It's dervish. This is a Nefnari bioform. It's basically pink. This is supposed to be pink, and I've actually colored it so it's pink, but there's going to be no color here, I'm sorry. Actually, there's one colored drawing with colored pencil. I never tried it again, as you'll see why. And this is, basically it rolls on these tentacles. These back ones will push up, these front ones will turn under, and it will roll along the ground, and each of these is tipped with a barb, as you can see. And what it will do is roll along and just stab with, I mean, these flecks stretch a little, and they'll just stab into whatever they're attacking. Not poisonous, but they can roll at about 12 miles per hour. What they do is these tentacles also have, whatever the little things that come out of roots and plants are called. Very scientific of me. They'll plant themselves into the ground, and that will feed the creature while it's dormant, and then it will awaken when they need them for battle. And this is a Nefnari soldier, drawn about like 3 days after that other picture. Let me hold it back a bit. Yeah, this isn't going to work out perfectly. This is not one of my favorite ones. The arm here is kind of like malformed and weird. I've gotten better. Still not very good, but I've gotten better. And this is just, I was detailing the Nefnari. They're one of the factions of Lice. This is this kind of weird picture. This is the nested mother. This is the Daleska virus that the Lice created as a biological weapon. And it has a peculiar effect on pregnant women. And these little, like, bumps along the victim's back are basically sores, or pustules, kind of. It's just something that all of them have. And some of them, their face is just completely obscured by it. But the really terrifying thing about this is that it has a sort of Russian puppet doll effect. Each of the fetus produces its own fetus inside of itself, and all of them are it's a horrible, terrible monster. Basically, once you kill this, the other one rips its way out. You kill that one, the other one rips its way out. It's disturbing. But then again, evil things should be disturbing. This is a Daika helmet, specifically a Nefnari Daika Special Forces. These guys are snipers, they're guerrilla warfare, they're attacking supply lines. They're pretty rare because most of the time the Lice do not like to put that much training into one soldier. That's not their style. But occasionally they're needed. So that's just picture the helmet. This is a Skittersting, another Nefnari invention. These were originally conceived by the Lice to be medical soldiers, or medical bioforms. They had morphine in them. They were going to carry other medicines and be able to deliver through their stinger, which was originally more like just a regular injection needle kind of attachment. And then they decided they didn't want medics. They would rather leave soldiers to die it seemed more efficient to them to just make a new one, grow a new one, than to try to save the old one. So they turned them into weapons, and these creatures are about 4 to 5 feet long. I use meters when I write, but 4 to 5 feet long works. About 3, 4, 5 feet high maybe, depends. And they're not very strong. One good few shots from a rifle will easily blow them apart, but they'll grab, there's this little thing in front, this barb, they'll shoot out and stab through you, and the stinger in the back's full of morphine. If it grabs you, it'll stick it into you, and morphine's nice as a painkiller, but once you get more than a little bit, it's pretty fatal. Just another Laos soldier helmet drawing. These are all from about 2 years ago. Actually, sorry, not 2 years ago. A year ago. A year and about a year and 2 months now. Drew them over Christmas vacation last year. This is some Nefnari weapons. Now, most of the lice use the L92 submachine gun, or the L88 assault rifle, or any other various weapons I've dreamed up for them. But the Nefnari are different. They're very weird, experimental technology type. And they're responsible for all the scientific advancements of the lice, really. The 3 major factions, if you don't know, are the Farcast, which are the main military strength, tactical, I just used the word tactical like that, didn't I? They're very much, they use modern day tactics as we think of them, with lots of aircraft, tanks, any kind of armored vehicle, infantry. Whereas the Drukam are another faction, the second major faction, and they use the bioforms, the heavier bioforms, the Hulks and Breakers, a lot more. In fact, they use them almost completely in place of armored vehicles. And the Farcast use Breakers to a lesser degree, but Hulks not as much, but it's a fair amount. So the Drukam are almost, I wouldn't say primitive, but they're a more brutish and straightforward, barbaric kind of faction. Nefnari are a lot more sinister. They're a lot more, they have seaside fortresses where they build their laboratories, and the Farcast are by far the most numerous. The Drukam are a close second. The Nefnari are third. There's some other smaller factions, but they're relegated to the very high levels of leadership. So here is a Nefnari assault rifle. It's a bullpup design, if you know what that is, if you're a gun geek like me. Not really that much. Anyway. And it uses okay, some of this stuff here is wrong. I've changed it. This is about, it says 0.75 meters, so it's about probably as long as your arm, I guess. Sidearm holds 12 rounds. Pretty much just a regular pistol, pump shotgun, bolt-action sniper rifle. Yeah, everything you need. And what the Nefnari will do is they'll have these, like I said, seaside fortresses, and a lot of times once troops get in the ground and the beaches, big boulders everywhere, snipers will hide up in some hiding spots, shoot from the seaside grass, and inflict some significant casualties. And some of the weapons used by the Who's here are, it's a Kerlik KMWR K-Mauer, if you really want to say it like that. I kind of fiddled with how to pronounce it. This is just a submachine gun made by the company Kerlik, which also made a lot of common assault rifles. And it's just a kind of single frame sort of design. It's got a foregrip that it can be detached. Pretty standard. The FHK carbine. I'm not going to explicitly mention any real-world counterparts, but I will say that a lot of these weapons did have at least some degree of real-world inspiration. You can probably tell already. This is the Comenian assault rifle used by the Comenians. They were a mountain-dwelling nation of Who's who came to the aid of Peter and Emily and all those during the days of McAlvey. Basically, Peter and Emily managed to impress the Comenians with a very successful raid, and made the comedians realize that, you know, this fight might be worth joining after all. Because they'd tried to attack McAlevey before and they'd failed. So very important that Peter got them into the fight, because without them they would not have been able to destroy McAlevey. And the FHK rifle or carbine, there's like a whole bunch of actually different FHK weapons based off of it. They're actually still very popular with the Serengarthians and with members of the Green family. They took the design with them to Serengarth and remade it. Brezarek BN90, this is just a very compact little handheld submachine gun. You can probably see the real-world influence there. It's given to pilots in case they get shot down. Oh, I'm talking about the guns. So I actually, I intended to make a guns video. I'm going to make a video entirely devoted to guns with my voice. Since I'm sick of making captions. It's kind of part of why I haven't uploaded a video in so long, because I just hate putting them together like that. And so I'm going to make a whole video of guns. I've got about 60 different models. All of them have got some kind of reason to exist. Most of them are pixel art. I'm going to add some regular art. It'll be interesting, I think. This is a Farcast infantryman here. Again, this is drawings from a couple years ago, or a year ago. So it's not quite my best, but I still like it. It's one of my older drawings. The knife is like way too small for him. Anyway, this is a side view of a skitter stinger. You can see those barbs that come out. You see the scales, and you can see the little tail end in the stinger. The stinger's not sharp enough. I should have drawn it sharper. It's like a needle. This is an incomplete drawing of who's in a Gaze Canyon. This is back at Woburn. The Battle of Gaze Canyon. And this was actually a little canyon in the playground that I distinctly remember. This whole battle there. This is a Farcast officer. You can see the trench coat, helmet, just the goggles, gas mask leading down, uniform with pockets, the armband. There's a pretty significant historical influence here. It's not one of my best drawings. This one I actually inked a lot later. This originally was not inked in. This was a pencil drawing. And then later, like months later, I went back and I inked it in. I made the helmet completely colored, and I don't know why. This is a parasite. This is a little creature that the lice develop to jump up and grab onto your spinal cord with these hooks and take over your body. And it's not like most of those sort of take over your body parasite things, because it doesn't like slither inside you and take hours and your friends are wondering where you are. It kind of jumps up, instantly stabs into the spinal cord, starts sending electrical shocks up your spine, and pretty much these things can crawl along, jump up, in about 3 seconds your best friend is turning on you, and completely conscious of what they're doing, but with no control over their muscles. So that's another particularly horrific way to lice like to wage war. Take over your friends and make you shoot them while they're fully conscious of it. Fortunately, those creatures are pretty rare. This is a Farcast symbol, Drukam symbol, Nefnari symbol. I do kind of feel like they are a bit symbolic of their, these two are kind of reminiscent of certain other things, but this one I kind of like. It's like the mysterious pyramid of power. I don't know. That was just my inspiration. These will show up on armbands, helmets, occasionally fighters as insignia. I just wanted to have a symbol for each faction. Some incompleteness there. This is another picture of a Laos infantryman. This one I like a good bit. I like the way I did the vests. You'll actually see later on I changed a lot of the aesthetics of the soldier. Really the weakest point in this drawing, I feel, is the gun. This is supposed to be the L88 assault rifle that the lice use. It's kind of off-center, it's kind of longer than it's supposed to be, just kind of weird, but I actually can't really think of a real-world counterpart for this one, but anyway, he's got his knife strapped to his belt. I like this picture. I've actually colored this one in. I've actually colored all the ink ones in, and even some of the non-ink ones. This is an Adelac, and this is one of my particularly favorite creations. I can't remember if the first time I came up with it, it was for this universe or not, if it was for something else. This is basically I described it as a cross between a tiger and a wasp. The drawing doesn't quite do that justice. I have a later drawing that's a little bit better. And basically the thing about this creature is, when you shoot it, its cells will regenerate extremely fast. It's a very fast reaction to any kind of trauma, especially puncturing trauma like from a bullet or a knife. And what happens is the skin will toughen and grow, and it will take an incredible amount of nutrition out of the creature to do this. But what happens is the more you hurt this thing, the more it toughens up. So if you try to decide, oh, I've got a machine gun here, an assault rifle, I'm going to spray this thing down on full automatic until it dies, well, you just made it nearly impossible to kill. So the only real good way to kill this thing, besides, even once it's completely toughened, it'll still get taken out by a rocket. It's just that it gets pretty much immune to bullets. Okay. Becomes pretty hard to kill with bullets by the time you've shot it a few times. The best way to kill it is with any kind of high caliber rifle, or just a grenade or a rocket. But be careful, make sure you kill it in 1 or 2 shots, because if you don't, you can make matters worse for yourself. Here is another drawing of an Adelac. I really hope I said Adelac. This is a pair of Lao soldiers manning a machine gun. I kind of like this drawing. They've got a very good machine gun capable of firing about 1,200 rounds a minute. This is a Daleska victim, and what's happened here is these pustules have built up all over the victim's body. And what this is it's an airborne virus. Usually it accompanies louse bombing attacks, nuclear attacks, gas attacks, anything like that. And basically in 50% of the cases it kills you and leaves your skin just kind of loosed off your bones, almost like you're wearing a very oversized rumpled coat of skin. You're just left like that, dead. Or in 50% of cases it infects your brain, it's in your brain tissue, drives your hypothalamus or whatever nuts, and makes you into a psychopath. Completely no control whatsoever. And these pustules start to grow all over you. It's kind of a long-term effect. And this disease has a kind of interesting inspiration. I actually had a dream about the rumpled skin part. It's kind of like the skin becomes loose and just too large for your body. And that was just, I believe I was walking through a parking lot. I refused some homeless person help. They had a baby. Came back later, the baby looked like just folded over, terrifying. Looked like the white rubber tire Michelin Man. It's kind of like that and folded up. It was a very terrifying dream, but when I woke up I was like, oh, it's a good idea for a particularly horrifying disease. Obviously not very original that half of them turn into effectively zombies, but everything has to have zombies in it now, I guess. This is a Serengarthian soldier. I don't know what this gun is supposed to be. I just drew it. Not really my best, but, I inked it and colored it anyway. I do it with all of them. This is Orion and Kalana fighting an Adelac in the caves of Fainro. And the story here is that Orion went west to try to discover the origin of the war between the Who's and the Lice, and met Tenebrok, who was the leader of a village that was built in the ruins, and his sister Kalana, pictured here looking scared with the gun, decided she would go with him to the cave, to an ancient cave where they believed some sort of event had taken place. And Orion got there and they fought all sorts of strange creatures, and among them were the first time the Adelacs showed up in the story. And later the Lice began to field more and more of them, but they also occur naturally. This is Emily with a rocket-propelled grenade taking aim at a louse tank on the road there. That's pretty much all there is to say about that. I feel like I should have added a little more background detail to this drawing, but I like it the way it is. The crack in the window, that's enough detail, right? This is a Laos soldier opening the door to a terrified family who's not going to be alive much longer, sadly. The Laos pretty much kill anyone they find, any civilians, indiscriminately, on the spot. Don't really keep prisoners unless they think they can get some value out of them. Pretty ruthless. This is Livery. This is a character I might not have mentioned. She's kind of like, she's kind of the sort of a tribute to a friend I had in middle school, which is kind of when the story took place in my head. She was just there because I didn't have quite as many characters as I would have liked. And this is just her watching a cruiser, Laos cruiser, passing in front of the super fortress in the distance. And the scale's kind of off here. This thing's a few hundred meters long. This thing is about 20 or 30 miles tall, so yeah. This is just, I don't know who this is, crouched behind a crate. I think it was meant to be one of the characters. This is an attempt at a four-armed Hulk. I actually did succeed in drawing that, but it's not in here. I'm running out of time to record, so I'm going to have to probably split this into a few videos, but that's good, because that means I'll make more videos. This is some VAR fighters attacking a Laos cruiser near Tangata. As you can see, it's a tree city stronghold near Serengarth, and there's these little defenses built around it with the city, and then the tree itself with the city inside of it. And what else do I have here? These are some Daleska creatures running towards somewhere to attack. As you can see, there's pustules all over them. In this case, it's covering this one's face. And they retain most of their coordination and ambulatory nature. Some of them will fight with knives or sticks or anything of that matter. They can still run. They're not particularly agile, but they're agile enough that, you know, you can't just run across a bridge and hope they'll trip and fall in the water. This is supposed to be a gun. I never finished this drawing. It's supposed to be a gun with a Laos soldier standing near just a large battery. They get much larger than that. This is a flame goat. This is another bioform that didn't really show up much. It's basically, you can shoot heated oil, make a sort of electric spark with bioelectricity and set it on fire. So you got a 4-tentacled flamethrower thing there. Didn't really come up much because I didn't want to use it. This is a breaker. This is the shock troops that the Laos use to try to just break through enemy lines. And these guys have got plastic explosives strapped to them with a dead man's trigger, so that when you do kill them, guess what? They explode. And it's a specific electrical signal. It's not like one of them will blow up and set off the others like a chain reaction. That might be what they'd want, but... And actually, I'm going to have to stop here, because I've pretty much run out of time, but this is about 29 minutes of me just talking about the drawings. I marked my spot. Still got plenty of drawings left to go through. I'm not going to have... I have got a few subscribers now. I'm not going to have any after I get through these videos. They're all going to be bored to tears, but I hope for the 1 or 2 people who do appreciate this, or however many there are, I hope you did enjoy this, and I hope to see you next time. And hopefully I will have a guns video for you soon. If there's any interest in that, I'll have more videos of this. I don't know what other videos I'll make. I have 9 seconds left, so I'll have to say goodnight to you. And thank you for watching. Goodbye.